Hey guys, welcome back to Card Snail. I'm your host Rick, and today we're talking about a little bit of a different video. What I want to talk about is certain items and the projection of growth. So mainly what I want to talk about is these specific three boxes. So the Pokemon first movie, the first release of this, which is a 1998 release item, 1999 for the prime of its retail life. The Topps Series 1, which is a 1999 release, I believe. Yep, 1999 release. So, and the Topps Series 2, which is a 2000s release. So these are all the 36 pack boxes. And I just want to talk about the projected growth of these, and should you be holding them? Is there a future for the price of these? And, you know, where do we see these going? So these 36 pack boxes are great. So are the 11 pack boxes. These guys here. If you want to check out, I've already done a video unboxing these. This item was also great, and it's empty. So I'll be winging this one around a little bit to not do any more damage. But what I want to talk about is, you can see right here, this was originally $19.99. This is in the year 2000. 20 bucks. This, in the year 1999, was $59.99. This item, in the year 1998, was $54.99. These are American prices, though. So, 55, 60, I believe this was 63, 62.99, and this was 20 bucks. Now, the growth, let's just talk about this box right here, the growth. So in 1998, 60 bucks. In the year 2000, this was about 200 US. In the year 2018, it had hit about $300 US. That's when I bought this, in 2018. In the year 2020, it had hit about 750 to 800 US. And now in 2023, you're talking about 1,200 US. Sometimes at auction, they'll sell for as low as 1,000 to 1,100 US dollars, though, from 50. So that is 25-fold growth at 1,250. 25-fold, 2,500% growth. And that's just so far. But is that the peak? Is that all we're going to see for growth? And what I want to talk about is, no, I don't believe it is. And I'll tell you the reason why. So we're going to go into a little family history of the Card Snail family. My dad also is an avid collector. He is a card buyer and seller. He ran a store for a while. It's in our family. In the year 1995, he had 6 Wayne Gretzky rookie cards. 6 of them. I'm not kidding. 6. The real ones. I believe they were O-Pee-Chee Wayne Gretzky rookie card. And he was all happy. They were worth a few $100s. They were good. By the year 2010, so in the 2008 financial crisis happened, everything collapsed. By 2010, 2011, as the world started to climb out of it, he was able to get $5,000 per card. So he did it because we had taken a big hit on the finance market in Canada. We live in Canada. Things are a little bit different than USA. We took the market hit hard depending on where you were. I lived in an area of Ontario, Canada, which has the automotive sector right across from Detroit. So Detroit is right across Lake Erie from where I grew up. In Port Burwell, Ontario is very close. Woodstock, Ontario is where I'm from. So it's there's a Toyota plant there. There's a Cami automotive plant. They made all the GM there. There's a lot of automotive activity. In 2008, the whole area collapsed with Detroit. So these prices came up to about $5,000 per Wayne Gretzky card. And my dad was like, well, we bought them for about 50 cents a pack. It has gone 10,000 fold to 5,000 bucks. I'm going to sell. So he sold, got 30 grand. It was very good. In the year 2010, prices were quite cheap. If you're a Generation XYZ millennial, I believe I'm a millennial, you know, prices have tripled, quadrupled since then. But that Wayne Gretzky card, now, today, in 2023, they're selling for $1 million. And my dad is 55 right now. He had me use 20. I'm 35 right now in 2023. And So at 55, he's looking at himself like, wow, I had 6 million in cards. Why did I sell? Well, here's the thing. So what had happened is the transfer of buying focus. Now, in the years of your life between 25 to 45, what are you doing? You have to think financially. What are you doing? You're paying off student loans. You're paying off your house. You're paying off cars. By 45, you're paying off your kids' student loans. You're paying off your kids' cars. You are paying for a retirement package. You are paying for life insurance. You are paying for everything that you're going to pay for that is bulk purchases in your life before you hit like the golden years where you start to golf a lot. Maybe you buy a collector car. Maybe you go on some vacations with your friends. And so that focus switch from absolute necessity items into things that I want to buy changes it. So everything grows with inflation. Everything grows in price slowly as they print more money. And boy, do they print more money. So that's one thing though. But the focus of purchasing switched. Now, I believe that we, the millennials and XYZ, our generations, we have a very serious advantage here in time. So my father was selling at the age of 35. And by 55, so 20 years, it took for it to go an additional 200-fold, okay? From $5,000 to $1 million. It went 200-fold. But that took 20 years. And it didn't go all at once. If you know how graphs go exponentially, it maybe gained 30%, then 30%, then 30%. But 30% compounding gets huge. We have an advantage, though, because of the baby boomers. So there is a phenomenon in the world that's called the baby boomers. And between the years of 1954 to 1968, almost half of the people on Earth were born. Something like 30% in North America. It's worse in Japan. It's similar but less worse in China. Europe has a very similar problem. Africa doesn't have so much, and neither does South America, because the death rate is very high. So you die earlier and you die more often. So they're already running through their old people, and it didn't become a large accumulation of old people. And what happens is these old people, this seems so mean, old people, the baby boomers who are old, they have already passed by paying off the necessities of life. And in the 90s and early 2000s, they were paying for the fun of life. So if you see, when they were children, from 1955 to 1968, things like your grandmother had very expensive vases, certain kinds of tin wind-up toys, certain kinds of art, like latch hook art or handmade art that was like made of string and strange things like that. Antique armoires, like those dressers or those cabinets where the glass, remember your grandma had the cabinet with all the glass china. Those prices have collapsed. Because they went up as those people hit 35. Then they exploded. By those time, those people hit 55, and all of their money was going on stuff that they thought was cool. Now that they're 65 to 70, the prices have dropped because they're all selling them. Because they're just like, well, I don't need that. I need to pay for my granddaughter's wedding, her quinceañera, my grandson's college, my nephew's car. I need to pay for his surgery. And so the focus has changed. They don't need glass anymore. They have no use for cabinets full of china. Trying to dust that, to maintain it. Classic cars, to keep classic cars and keep fixing them and repairing them and paying for insurance. It becomes like not practicable. And so, but that accumulation of wealth, being that 30% of North America is now over the age of 60, when they go to an old folks home and hand down early retirement or early inheritance, or when they die and hand down inheritance, what's going to happen is the millennials and the people after them are all going to get a cut of that inheritance, whatever your portion is. And so right now, it looks like by the year 2030 to 2035, which 2032 being the center, we are going to see the majority of that activity happen. So there is trillions of dollars locked up in pensions, because if your grandmother is getting $5,000 a month, that's 5% of 100,000. But that's in 1 month. You need 12 of those for a year. You need 12 months. So you need 1.2 million locked away to get $5,000 a month to your grandmother. When she dies, that 1.2 million gets dispersed, whether it's in company pensions or whether it's in government pensions or whether it's in her own cash invested in just stocks with dividends or whatever it is, it's going to be distributed. to a millennial, a Generation X, Y, or Z. There's nobody else. There is no one else to give it to. You can't give it to unborn babies. And we're it. Whether they like us or not, we're going to receive the money. And so what's happening is we're seeing a stagnation right now. We are not seeing where... So my father saw a 50-cent pack of cards go up to $5,000. That's 10,000 fold. $20 times 10,000 is 200,000. This is not 200,000. This is 1,000. So this is lagging very much behind. And now you have to think, they also were the majority of the world. So when you have 30% of the world all watching hockey and they all want swag and collectibles from it, you make a lot. A lot of them get destroyed, but a lot still exist. And so now what happens is when there's a very small population of millennials and Gen X, Y, Z, we are a very small population, each of our groups, compared to the baby boomers. They didn't make that many of these, relatively. When that money transfers down, 2032, I'm saying, is the center. By 2035, we should see the end of the rise of price, I believe. We could see it return to where this would be 200,000 today. If this was 200,000 at my age of 35, it would match my father's Wayne Gretzky being 5,000. Then it went another 200-fold. So if this was to go to what would be double 200,000, 400,000, 4 million, 40 million. If this was to go to 40 million, that would be a mirror of the Wayne Gretzky. Now that, I think, is very optimistic thinking. But when that money comes down, my father had to wait from the age of 35 to the age of 55 before he was done paying off all his stuff. As the millennials and Gen X, Y, and Z, if the baby boomer money comes by 2032, that is only 8-9 years from today as I'm recording this video in 2023, heading into 2024. 8 or 9 years from now, I will only be 44, 43, somewhere in there. At 43, if that explosion of price happens, even if we ignore the fact that this should be 200,000 to mimic the price of a Wayne Gretzky card, let's ignore that fact and instead focus on the fact that, okay, so that pretend that growth was lost. We had a lot of recessions. We had a lot of financial turmoil in our lives. But if we still see that 200-fold of growth again, and we get to see it by the time we're 43, 44 for people my age, and just think in terms of by year 2032, this item right now being $1,000 Canadian, 700, 600 American, depending. These being 1,000 American, 1,200, 1,500 American. And I mean, look, it's not a very large item. For you to store this item for a relatively long, medium to long-term time is not expensive. It's not expensive to store these safely. To wrap it in paper, wrap it in plastic, keep it sealed. It's not outlandish to imagine storing these and keeping them safe. And so if these go 200-fold, you're talking about $250,000 per box. At the age, for me, in early 40s, for some of you, you might be able to afford it when you're 22, 25. If you're working now, afford it by the time you're 30. If you're 40, if you're between 30 and 40 and you have a $250,000 item and you sell that and you invest that, $250,000 at 30, by the time you're 50, it is deca millions. Even when you're 40, if you go till you're 60, 20 years, $250,000 should double at 7 years, double at 7 years, double at 7. So 2, 4, 8 times. You're talking $2 million. It's enough for you to retire, your children to retire, everyone after you. So that's what I think is maybe like a reasonable projection. Now, the world could collapse. Everything could go to turmoil. I am a millennial. We have been hearing that the world is about to explode since the day I was born. I have been on this regular cycle. Every 2 years, the world's about to blow up and we're all screwed. That's the life of a millennial, you know what I mean? And we've seen like 9 financial crashes in my lifetime. So, nothing is for sure. But I just want to say that as far as these items go, I don't believe we're going to see a box of Pokemon that right now is like 200-300 grand, the first edition base set. I don't think you're going to see it go from 300 grand to 60 million. I don't think there's a 200-fold room in there. But to see this item go to 200 grand, where a guy who inherited 4 million will have a credit card that can buy that, that's reasonable. If his pension is paid, his house is paid, his cars are paid, his kids are paid for, he's got a life insurance package, and he can just swipe a credit card and buy it, that's reasonable. 200,000 is reasonable. So if you have these, or could buy these, or thinking about buying these, and you're not sure, I think there's a lot of future growth potential here. So guys, that's just my take on it. I don't want to take too much of your time. I appreciate you all so much. I love you all. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening. If you guys want to comment, I will try to comment back. Otherwise, if you could like and subscribe to the video, it would really help the channel. Check the link in the description for the Card Snail eBay, where you can buy tons of the stuff I've opened, boxes, packs, tons of swag. And if you guys want to check just general information, set lists, and images of stuff, check the link in the description for the Card Snail blog. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you all so much. Have the best days.